In our last episode, we explored living from the heart. Today's topic is the heart's biggest gift, love. At the very foundation of our humanity and of our existence, love has been the inspiration and driving force behind thousands of musical works throughout the centuries. And we don't just speak of romantic love, of course. There's the love of our friends, the love of our families, and for those of us lucky enough to have it, the unconditional love of our pets. Today's beautiful musical selection has been especially curated and performed for you by San Francisco-based Beneath the Tree, Baroque to Folk. Founded by violinist Gail Hernandez Rosa and bass player Dan Turkos, this amazing group shows us that there are no barriers between genres other than the ones we put up ourselves. They bring us new take on old music while creating new music using the structures of the old. It turns out music, just like love, all comes from the same source. You guessed it, the heart. We hope you'll enjoy. great to see you.
You too.
You too.
How have you been holding up during this COVID shutdown? Exactly.
Exactly.
I think that sums it up.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
We've been well. We've been keeping busy, just focusing on doing different projects, keeping our mind working by learning new skills and just looking for different ways of making music.
Yeah, focusing on our, yoga and meditations kept us like centered, and I'm also really thankful to have someone in house that I can play music with.
How beautiful is that?
Which is I'm very grateful for that.
Absolutely. Music is always a lifeline and has been for us in many ways. And you're also out in nature or somewhat closer to it than perhaps I am here in New York City.
Yeah.
Yes, no, we live in San Francisco, and this city and this area, the Bay Area, is amazing for the amount of nature that's just on your doorstep. I mean, you can get to a beach in 10 minutes. You can go hiking in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
To different places.
Actually, I mean, you can go hiking like right up the street.
Well, actually, that's true. You can go hiking in 2 blocks because we have a hill 2 blocks from our house.
What's that?
So that has, making sure that we incorporate that in our daily life has really helped.
Yeah.
That's great. And one plus, I guess, has been concentrating on your project, Beneath a Tree, Baroque to Folk.
Yes. I mean, that's one of the things that this past year has afforded us, which is just time that we probably wouldn't have had prior. So I mean, the time has been a blessing in a certain way, to focus on projects and new music and things like that.
Yeah, and trying to focus on the opportunities that this time gives you instead of the restrictions that are in place right now.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. Just focus on the light at the end of the tunnel. Tell us a little bit more about your project.
Well, so Beneath a Tree combines Baroque and folk music, breaking down the barriers between genres, to show that all music is based on folk traditions and how you can find those traditions in all types of music.
Yeah, I mean, we come from we're in a time right now where we just have so much access to different types of music. It's not like you live in one region and that's what you hear. Just the fact that we have things like YouTube and everything. You can listen to anything that you want, Spotify, and I think we're kind of the result of that. Our eclectic musical tastes are born from that.
Bringing together 2 things that we really love, which is folk music and Baroque music.
Yeah.
Yes, and there are really quite a lot of similarities. I know we've talked about this before, right? But if someone were watching this, and I'm sure they will be, who is not a musician, how would you tell them about the similarities between folk and Baroque music? What would you say?
Well, one thing that I find with Baroque music is a lot of it uses dance forms, dance rhythms, and when you
think of them now as high art, but the reality was that everyone danced minuets, and everyone danced sarabans, and everyone danced jigs.
That's right.
So it was part of the culture to be able to know and dance these, whether it was a folk jig,
which would have been like
orally transmitted,
which would have been like a JIG jig,
yes.
and then the Baroque jig
Yes.
Gigue. So it's like in the different types of music, they borrow from one another.
Right.
And the composers would have heard these, you know, we like to think of like Bach and Telemann at the pub after work, listening to a fiddle player and a viola player playing these
That's right.
dances and these folk tunes, and that must have influenced their compositions, just like all of the music that we hear and we're exposed to influences what we compose.
Absolutely. The source ultimately is one.
Yes.
Wow. And the beautiful selection of 3 pieces that you picked for this episode. I know one of them has a special significance for the 2 of you because you weren't even married yet when you played it, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, Dan found it actually. So it's the Gabrieli canon for 2 cellos, which we play as a violin and double bass. And we were just trying to find something to play together, and Dan came across them, and he's always really liked them, this canon. So we just started playing it together, and that's one of the selections that we brought. So it's kind of like a
Nostalgic for us.
Yes.
And let's see, we also have Nellie Kane.
Yes.
Which is a tune that we used to play all the time, every Sunday at when we would be playing at Kennett Brewing Company outside of Philadelphia.
That's actually how we got started. We started in Chester County because we would go and play bluegrass and folk music with our friend Joe. And then the owners knew that we played early music and classical music and wanted to showcase that as well. So we started doing a combination of things, and then we found that audiences would come for different reasons. So like the people that loved the folk music would come and hear us playing Baroque music, and people that had never shown up to Kennett Brewing Company would come to hear the Baroque and classical music that we were playing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and Nellie Kane is just a sweet story about a guy that goes west and meets his Nellie Kane, meets his love, and
settles down.
Nellie Kane has a son, and the man kind of adopts the son and calls him his own, and also finds his love, his Nellie Kane.
It's a beautiful story and very appropriate for Valentine's Day. And speaking of which, I think the 3rd piece also has a very interesting story, right, Gail?
Yes, it does. So it is late medieval, early Renaissance, and it's called Bel Bon Sage by Bouzouki. And it's the score of it is in the shape of a heart.
Beautiful.
And it's also a play on words with his last name because cor is heart in Latin. And it's a love song. It's beautiful. We decided not to sing it so we wouldn't have to deal with French fiction.
Yeah.
It really was a song because it would have been played both ways back in the day. And we actually started recording it on violin, me playing violin, and then we decided to switch it to viola because it sounds more like a viol, and it actually makes it sexier in a way.
Yeah, and it's a French piece, and Gail's.
Yes, my viola is called Pia.
So.
Yeah,
so it made sense, and it was a lot of fun to put together because also that's technically pre-Baroque, right?
So basically, the 3 pieces span what, 6 centuries?
So something like yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible, and really is a testimony to just the way you're breaking down barriers between genres of music. I think it's a testimony to you through your art breaking down barriers between times, eras, and people too. It seems ultimately we've all remained pretty much the same, because here we are 6-7 centuries later, we're still talking about the same things, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, and I also feel like, you know, a lot of music's, a lot of different type of music, um, people have this stigma in their head, like, well, I wouldn't listen to something from the medieval or
Right.
Renaissance period.
Right.
And when you actually just expose people to something different, I think that's a real gift as a musician to share with someone something that you kind of know that when they hear it, they'll like it.
Yeah.
But they would never think to themselves like, oh, I'd listen to this type of music. That's really fun to be like, actually, let's just listen to this, and then, you know, make your judgment afterwards.
Sure. Just like, I mean, someone might not feel comfortable going to an early music concert or a classical concert because they think, oh, I don't know enough about this music. This is for like people that have like studied this and understand that. But it's actually not. Music is for everyone. It doesn't matter whether it's in a language that you can or cannot understand. It doesn't matter what genre it is. The music will speak for itself.
Yes.
Music doesn't know those boundaries that we
So,
come up with in our heads.
Absolutely. That they're really self-imposed. And what a beautiful message to carry forward. And I think we're going to also see that message and hear your music very soon because you have an album coming out.
Yes, My Cup of Tea.
Cup of Tea, that's right. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so the album features music of Bach, Telemann, and Vive, as well as Celtic, Scottish, and Irish folk music from the Baroque time period, and a folk song that I wrote as well. And so basically what we're doing is not only combining Baroque and folk music, but we're transforming music by taking the chord structures of and forms of Baroque music and composing folk music on top of it. So it's like a transformation.
Right. So it's a lot of your original music, actually, that, to put it simply, uses the skeletal foundation of Baroque music.
Yes, it's a combination of both.
yeah, I mean, there's one track that I'm really excited about on the album. We took a Telemann violin sonata, and the last movement is a G, and we took, you know, what Telemann wrote in terms of like chord progression and everything, which is very interesting. And I was playing it, and then Gail composed fiddle melodies on top of it. So it's a mix of old and new.
That's
you know, I personally would never have come up with those chord progressions, but they're beautiful chord progressions written hundreds of years ago by Telemann, and then we have something new put on top of it. And I think it's really a lot of fun.
So we hope that wherever Telemann is right now, he's like tapping his foot and very happy about it.
I bet he is. What is that tune called? May I ask, or are you going to keep it a surprise?
Well, at the moment, it's just called Telemann Folk Tune, but we really do have to come up with a better name.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we use to you know, label it, but we actually had this discussion the other day. We were like, okay,
we call it that on the album.
Yeah, so to be announced.
Yes.
That's fantastic. When and where can we buy and listen to your album?
So at the moment, it's on mixing and editing stages. Okay. So we think that it's probably in a few months' time, and it will be released not only in actual physical CD form, but also on Spotify and iTunes and all of those wonderful
platforms.
Streaming platforms.
Yeah,
are available to us.
We cannot wait. And I know, Gail, you mentioned that you filmed in a special location, what we're about to see here.
Yeah, no, we have, I just want to say thank you to our friends, Michelle and Kwai. recorded the videos that you're going to see in their living room, and they have a beautiful harpsichord.
Oh.
And yeah,
it's
so
gorgeous.
it was we, you know, being in seclusion, we've recorded a lot of videos the last couple months here.
And it's looking at your own living room is exhausting.
Yeah.
Yes. It was very it was great to change up locations a little bit and experience like the sound of a new room, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thank you to our friends.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's such an important thing to have this community of musicians, like people that are doing what you're doing. We're so grateful, and to be able to collaborate with so many people across the country, and you know, the community that we have of friends and neighbors and people that have supported us through these times, and you know, pushed us forward, and you know, not let us just give up when it's so easy to get overwhelmed and tired with the current situation, to just keep going and keep making music.
Absolutely. It does take a village, and now more than ever, I'm actually feeling more connected to you and to other colleagues and to many other musicians and friends whom I probably wouldn't have had the adequate time to connect with.
Yes.
Had it not been for this time in seclusion, as you put it so appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great that you know, a lot of musicians have been pulling together.
Yes.
And really helping each other out. You know, having.
I mean, even our album, the reason we were able to record it was because we had a Kickstarter campaign.
Yes. Yeah.
And, you know, the support that we felt was just incredible.
Well, you're absolutely worthy of it, and I am grateful for your time and for your talent, and cannot wait to hear your pieces.
Thank you. And thank you so much for featuring us.
My pleasure. Looking forward to doing so again soon.
Sounds good.
first met Gail and Dan while in my third year at the Colorado Music Festival in Boulder. While I sorely miss making music with them, this has been the next best thing, being able to feature them and share their artistry with all of you. There are still many, many artists out there whom I'd like to be able to feature and provide work for. If you're able to, or know someone who is, please consider making a tax-deductible donation through Fractured Atlas on their website at www.listenandheal.com. If you like what you saw, please share us with family and friends. Thank you for being with us, and happy Valentine's Day.
State of North Dakota, no, I met my Nellie Kane. I met my Nellie Kane. She was living in a lonely cabin with a boy from another man. 5 long years she waited for him, as long as a woman can, as long as a woman can. And I don't know what changed my mind.